That second trip that you had to South Africa, you became one of the first British players to win a tournament on what was called the Sunshine Tour.
Yeah, well, that was the second year I went back. I went back to Mr. Rubens first when, at the end of when I got back to, the summer got underway to pay him his £200 back. And he said, well, what are you going to do this winter? I said, well, I'm going to go back to South Africa again. And he said, is it going to cost about the same? I said, yeah, I think it's going to cost about £600 again. So he wrote me a cheque for 100 quid. I said, but I came to give you, he said, I'll pay half of this one, you pay the other half. And so the second time I went, I won £1,000, and the final event was at Kimberley, and I ended up tying with Harold Henning for that event. We shared first prize because Harold had to leave early to get back to America for a tournament. He was playing in America at the time. Some of the guys tried to push me onto the tee, and on that basis I could have claimed the tournament because Harold wasn't there, and I wouldn't have done that to Harold. He was a great chum anyway. But my confidence was right up there, and South Africa played a big role in my initial start. Being able to play in the winters there, those 2 years that I went, were really precious. I sort of hit the ground running in the spring when I got back to the UK, and I won the Blacksnit tournament in '65, and started really making a mark. I got married in *66 and finished third in the first 3 tournaments after I got married, and it all was starting to blossom there. But very early on, I said to myself, if I'm going to do this, I want to be as good as I can be. I hadn't spent all those thousands of hours on my own as a young man to get to a point and waste it. I suppose I was cocky, confident. I don't know about being cocky, but I wasn't afraid of anybody, and I never played with anybody who I thought I couldn't beat.
But Tony, you say that now you came just behind an era of terrific players like Neil Coles and Bernard Hunt and Brian Huggett and Peter Ellis. And what made you different? What gave you the confidence that you could take on the very best golfers in the world? And the best golfers in the world at that time were Americans.
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I was. I don't know. I certainly, if I was going to do this, I had my first trip to America in 1965 to the Carling World Championship in Boston at Pleasant Valley, and I remember being there that week and this is where I need to be. The cars and all the Elvis Presley. This was the Elvis era, where there were these great entertainers, and Sinatra and Dean Martin were on the billboards everywhere, and I just thought, man, this is it. This is where I need to be. And the golf courses were fantastic. The conditioning of the golf courses was unbelievable, and I made it up my mind then. If I want to be the best player in the world, and in order to do it, I need to beat Americans and play on a full-time basis here. So once in '67, I was a pivotal year. I won the Dunlop Masters. I hole-in-one for the first hole-in-one on British TV, ever televised. I won the Pringle tournament at Lytham that summer. So I won 2, pretty major events and had a lot going on. And I went to the tour school that year, and that was a year where there were a lot of good players, a lot of the American, like Bob Murphy, Ron Cerruto, Steve Melnick, a lot of the Walker Cup American Walker Cup players were at that particular school. Peter Townsend went there at the same time as I did, as did Clive Clark.
I think Bobby Cole might have gone.
And Bobby Cole. We were all there together. And managed to get my card, and with a good last round, I shot 68 the last round to get it. And then bingo, bango, bongo, March 68, just after 4 or 5 months, I win the Jacksonville Open. But I was confident. I'd built this inner confidence. I had confidence in my game, and I just, it wasn't bravado. It was genuine. I was determined to be as good as I could be, and I watched the best players. I made it my business. I was fortunate in Britain that, as I said earlier, that Peter Allis and Dave Thomas and Di Reese, some of those fellas took me under their wing, as it were. But I watched them play. I watched them forever. Talked to them. If there was anything I wasn't sure of, I would work a way round to ask. And I came to realise that in Britain they didn't really know a lot about the swing technique, and I knew that to be a lot better than I was, I needed to be able to control the speed of my swing. And I worked with Weiskopf, Yancey, all, and I knew this was right. And by the time I got to Jacksonville in '68 at Deerwood, it was already working. And came back to the Open that year at Carnoustie, and I actually got off to a terrific start and didn't finish well. I shot 80 in the last round and still finished 16th or something like that. But the swing was improving all the time, and I knew that under any sort of pressure I could maintain that rhythm with these swing thoughts I had now.